start from the beginning. Quite a few folks, especially the earlier founders, were asking me, hey, what we can learn from Grammarly. So if we very simplify the journey, is there are really just a few chapters, right? In the beginning, Grammarly started in 2009 with really only just the student segments, right? So that's where pretty much from 2009 to 2015 and 16-ish is just the student app. It's just like a paid only app. So in that case, the company has been very focused on doing one thing, and that vertical focus has helped the brand getting so much attention. And it's not until really just sometime around 2016, the use case started to expand from a student into the professional. And then that's where the freemium become a thing. That's where the Chrome extension become a thing. So that unlocked the growth. But I know from some of internal conversation, there was quite some anxiety. So frankly, it's both good that the company excited that we are finally able to break the ground to become a much bigger application. But there is also so much of anxiety at the time to say, hey, is that going to dilute, right? Is that going to be, especially when we open the gate, go from paid only to freemium, is that going to, right, destroy some of the paid members, right, and lose? I think Holly and I had a chat about that one. It's not easy. It's very difficult to go from paid only to freemium. But at the time, go back to the audience and market fit, and it applies at the situation, especially for professional where the cases might not be so strong. Having a freemium was a must at the time. Again, right now it's a nothing. Everyone knows how to use it, but going back in time, it was a still relatively new experiment around that. And then if we highlight probably the recent pivot back in 2019, that's really where the B2B starts. So after the company test out the audience and market fit from the prosumer individuals or even the professional at the individual level, really the company didn't start the whole B2C to B2B transition almost 10 years after, right? It was founded knowing that the world is moving into the B2B space. So pretty much the accumulation at that and all started around the 2019, and it ties back to some of the interesting valuation numbers too, right? So Grammarly is the case where it didn't raise the money until very late. So when it was raising money in 2019, and that's when it's purely consumer business, right? The B2B hasn't really started. The valuation was 1 billion at the time. It's a public record, right? You can see it. And then 2 years after, right, 2019, as the company built up the B2B engine and gained enough of traction, the fundraising in 2021 or 22, I don't remember exactly the date, it jumped all the way to 13 billion. So right, so that gave a lot of data points for people to read about. Hey, how should you go from a very focused audience to market fit into the audience expansion and into the B2C and the B2B, and exactly how each of the action tie back to the valuation numbers, right? So I think right now, some of the questions I'm getting from a lot of the potential, right, either the current clients or potential clients is, right, how can we leverage that experience, but shorten the time frame and get to the success faster. So yeah, happy to touch on other things later on, but does that tie back to your questions, Beatrice?
Oh, I was just going off of that audience market fit. I could only think about students. Of course, I've used Grammarly for many other things, but how does that tie into what the company was looking for in terms of that growth? So I just wanted to hear that. Thought it was a great progression. That's all.
Yeah, like we talked about that before, and I wanted to pick that out. You mentioned about from the transition from free trial to freemium was not necessarily in a very easy decision. There are different opinions about it. I wonder if Grammarly has gone through that consideration, and how did you evaluate that decision? Was there concerns around cannibalization or decline of revenue. Recently Equal has the article about their failed attempt to change from a freemium to a free trial, from free trial to freemium. So curious on your take on this topic.
Yeah, I think you're referring to paid to free trial to freemium, right? So for Grammarly before, I don't think there was even a free trial, right? I think it's or it's probably just paid only at the time, or let's say free trial can fall into the same category because you can't use the free forever. So kind of the same thing, right? So the frankly, the decision was before me. I had the chance to ask a few long timers in the company about how the transition happened. The transition happened in 2015 and 16. So it wasn't possible to do any modeling. The pieces of information I was collecting is the company. It took a long time for the company to decide to go that direction, but it's really not so easily. It's not a number modelable, right? So glad the company took a leap of faith and cautiously watch the number be ready to roll back. I think that happens. Similarly, when I think I watched the similar action when Grammarly launched the Gen AI. Very, very anxious in watching the usage, fearing, hey, is our membership fee going to cover the cost, right? At the time, the token was pretty expensive, and Grammarly wasn't planning to charge extra fee like a Notion, right? Then I was very much in the working group, carefully talking to say, hey, well, if we put on this Gen AI, well, at what point we're going to really lose a huge chunk of money? What's the probability? Yeah, we did a model, it just doesn't work, right? Sometimes. I don't know how much of reference there are, but I think if we take the equals as the example, it actually tells us, it gives us a better data point on what's suitable for freemium, what's not suitable for freemium. So I think Grammarly was successful with the freemium model simply because there are a lot of low intent users. It's a simple product, and low intent, the ability to have the freemium is able to nurture, right, a community of people who know the product, who don't want to pay, but who might someday eventually pay for it, and also have that group of people doesn't burden the company in terms of the computation cost, because at the time Grammarly wasn't consuming the tokens. It was a self-proprietary model, right? It doesn't really cost, the marginal cost was pretty small. So it doesn't matter, and it doesn't destroy the matrix because you look at free, you look at paid, right? In overall, it doesn't have much of a downside. Whereas in the case of equals was a hardcore, right? In the article, I believe what I read is equals is a pretty hardcore data tool. You have to really serious about the tool in order to fully utilize it, and utilizing that consume the company's customer success team, the support team, and the computation power, right? In that case, right, having the free users could be a distraction to the company. So that in that case, it makes sense to gate a little bit, so you focus on the right customers. I think there are some other examples. I think I actually had an interesting conversation with Naira on this one. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a freemium model isn't for everyone.